Uh,
All right, welcome to the LHD Academy of Science training number 4 on Alchemer. I want to thank Mike for being the presenter. For those that are watching this on a recording, thanks for coming in. For those that are watching it live, please put in your questions in the chat so we can ask them as they go through. Mike's going to set the agenda as we go through the meeting today. Housekeeping notes. The training number 1 and 2 are in the AOS library Google Sheets in your corresponding state. And then you all should have been emailed training number 4. If you could mute the phone as well, that would be great. There's quite a few people unmuted, might not know that. And we'll go ahead and get started. Thanks, Mike.
oh, thank you. Well, welcome to continued training. And the high-level goals for this session today is reports and the flexibility and options to really customize how you're generating the report, how you can share it out. So that's the big picture goal. Time permitting, at the end, I wanted to cover more advanced logic conditions, and logic in the sense of what are we going to show or hide to a respondent, and also logic associated maybe with some actions, which is, are we going to send this email or not? Depending on how someone answers a question survey is one example. So those are the two big goals for today, is the reports primarily, and then if time permits, going into some more logic options. So let me get started by sharing my screen, and we'll get started. Okay, great. So I just wanted to set the stage, and I think this is important for thinking about reports and the data output is, the build of the survey, and thinking of the end in mind. And this is just an example survey that I built for today's demonstration, but it's a very basic survey with some basic question types. This is a radio button, single select, gender, multiple select for what do you buy at Costco, how's your satisfaction level, a scale from low to high. And then this is open text where the respondent's typing in the data. So this is just something I wanted to kind of plant a seed is, and I worked in customer support, and this did come up on occasion where you built a really nice survey, and maybe you pick some advanced question types, and that testing process all the way to the end to look at the results wasn't done well. And then you collect a lot of data, and then you want to do something in results, and it's like, oh gosh, that's not going to work, or I'm not happy with that output. So, just be mindful when you're building it, and actually go through the testing process and go, which I'm going to show, the results of your testing and see if it meets your needs. So that's just a kind of planting a seed to be thinking of the end in mind before you commit and send out the survey, to make sure that the questions you picked and everything you have put in the survey is going to meet your needs as far as the output. Okay. And something I wanted to show, and I'm going to show this in the reports, but this is related to the build of the survey, is customizing reporting values. So in this question, which is a Likert question, so it goes very dissatisfied to very satisfied, the default, and I'll just show you this because this is going to come up in the reports in the demonstration. So our system has kind of two lanes of data. One is the answer option that's displayed to the respondent will automatically be the reporting value. And let me just show you this in another example, because I have this one ready. But here is checkboxes, and I'll get rid of this to show how it starts out for you. So auto is save. And when you come in, it's like, oh, this is just what's shown to the respondent. But behind the scenes, we have this ability to customize it. And But from the beginning, it's synced up. It's a one-to-one relationship. So what is shown to the respondent as an answer option will be the reporting value, but you can customize it. And maybe there's, for a store, there's a certain ID number. It can be anything that you want to assign behind the scenes as the value for that answer option. This does not get shown to the respondent. This is what's shown, but behind the scenes, we want this to report out. And I'll show you how that plays out once we get to the reporting. But I wanted to kind of show you this because it does open up a lot of flexibility. And it's nice to know about for this, especially for this type of scaled question, you can get an average score, right? Which is a numerical number, kind of a marker. So that's a nice thing to have that ability to do. And if you're interested in doing this in your survey, we offer this ability under results, under the data preparation column, edit reporting values and aliases, and you can build the entire survey, then go here and make that decision in a little bit of a more holistic way as far as adjusting. So this is the one that I put as the a custom. So that's 1 to 5. This one I left alone. If I wanted to adjust it, I could go to change it to be something different and put it in. So just want to show you the ability to do that. I also, in this example, have put in an alias for the question title. And this won't really come into play too much in the standard report, which I'm going to show, but it does matter more, I think, in the export of the raw data. If you do a CSV Excel download, this would replace the question title. So instead of what is your gender showing up in the column header of that CSV, for example, that would show gender. And that just makes it a little bit easier to manage as far as the visual display of that raw data output. So that's just another option. Okay. All right. I think we should switch now to showing the output. So what I did here is, and this is something that I would recommend you try to do, is when you're building a survey, go to the test tab, and under generate test responses, I put in 100 test responses, right? And the reason I did that is I want to see how it's going to come out in the standard report with a good number of fake respondents to see if it meets my needs. But I just want to point that out as a good way to kind of test your survey to see if it meets the output. So this is the step that I took to get the data in to show you. So under results, we have the big three, and I just wanted to briefly touch on the other two, individual responses and exports. Then we'll spend most of the time under the reports. So individual responses is the pulse and what is happening. So this is my first go-to when I open up a survey. Results, individual responses. Let me see what's happening with the most recent responses. They'll bubble up to the top. This is the ID number we assign for each person who takes the survey. That's not shown to the respondent, that's internal. And we have the status as a test because this data has come in from the test tab. And I'll click on the number. Great, I just have the basic response for this one person. Okay. Now, the other one is exports. And this is where you can generate the raw data. Okay, now I'll just do it very quickly here. CSV Excel. And the quickest, easiest way is just give me all the data. And I'm going to ask system to pull it through. And this will generate a CSV Excel. And what I wanted to show you is the customization of the reporting values and the aliases in this export, and how that plays out with this sheet that will get displayed to you. So quite a bit, because I asked the system to bring everything over, but this is the response ID column, which is always good to have as your reference point. This is all system generated data, time started, session ID, what device they clicked on, all that stuff comes through. But then you'll get to the point where you have the actual data for the survey. So this is single select. So that's male, female. Here's the checkbox, what'd you buy? And then this was the one that I customized. So I wanted to show the output of this. So this alias, that question for the respondent said, how was your experience today at Costco? But I changed that to be alias experience. So that's a nicer, cleaner display in this column header. And this is what comes through is the reporting value, not very dissatisfied or satisfied that text. This is the value of that number that is customized. So I just wanted to kind of point that out as how that output, those reporting values and aliases play out with the whole flow as far as the CSV Excel of the raw data. All right, let's go to the actual reason we're here is the reports. So let's look at what we can do with reports. Okay, so right away, we generate a standard report. And this is where we're going to create new ones, new versions to customize. But I just wanted to show you that this is the standard. So when you click on this right away, or this one right away, we auto-generated this right away, and it's a standard report. So I'm going to open it up. And now let's start exploring and what can we do here? So I'll just start at the top is share report. So if I click on this, we generate a URL that you can share out with a stakeholder. They do not have to be an Alchemer license holder. This link is available to anybody that you share it out with. Just like a Google Doc or a Microsoft Word document, you can set permission rights for this online access. And then the other things you can do here are nice. You can, in that shared report, you can allow people to filter by date. You can allow them to run an export. And the other one that's nice is maybe there's a stakeholder that you want to just kind of nudge on a schedule. And maybe it's the first of the month. I want to send this out, repeat X number of months, send it out on a monthly schedule, and they'll get an email, and you can do all this in our system. And they'll just get a nice reminder, hey, click on the link, and this is the monthly report for the survey. So lots of nice options as far as the share ability. Okay, so I'll cancel out of that. Download. So I haven't done any customization yet, but I will. But once you get to that point, you've customized it and you've made it the way you want it to look, then you can download it. So some options here are PDF, PowerPoint, Excel, Word. So you can kind of pick how you want it to export. I'll just show you the output for a PowerPoint. And I'll say, yes, please put in the open text. And I'll start the download. And I'll show you the other options as far as the Excel. It looks a little bit different than the one I showed previously. But let me see how this comes out in the PowerPoint format. So each question has its own little chart and gender and score. So it is a little bit limited as far as, and we've gotten feedback, and this is something we do want to improve, but it really depends on the question types that you use. So it is a basic display of the data. It's not as, nice as, you probably want it to look, but it's a good starting point to really kind of, get the data into that format of PowerPoint. So that's one option that you can use. The other one is I wanted to show how it comes out in a different format when you choose Excel. So this is different than the raw data in the columns and rows that I showed earlier. And it takes each question and puts them in a little category in a bucket. And it's unique and I think it's useful. So when it opens up, you'll see it in this format. So each question has its own little category of the percent and the count. So this is another option for you as far as getting an export of the data in a different format from the standard report. Okay. So now let's kind of work our way over as far as these options. So this is a little bit hidden. So now we're thinking of customizing. So this is just what we auto-generate. And it's kind of like, let's get everything we all the responses, and we're just going to display it as a standard report. There's no customization at this point. So just to go through, like, depending on the question type that you pick, we generate a default chart. So this is a radio button, will be the pie chart. Here's the checkbox in this bar graph. This is, and I have to delete this because this is coming later. I'll start that out and show you a little bit differently. But this is open text, and I'll put in that other bar graph in a second. But it's just auto-generated. This is how you're going to start doing your customization. And actually, let me go back because I was doing a demo earlier. Let me just start a fresh standard report. So we have a clean slate to work from. Great. So this is, it is still single select. This is a Likert question, and it comes out in this bar graph form. Okay, so now starting at the top. So customization, one is as soon as you apply a customization, I think it's good practice to kind of label it. So clicking this field, I'm going to label this. And what I'm going to show you is kind of a really basic filter. So in this example, I want a female report. Okay, so I'll just leave the date. I can leave it, take it off. So this is what I want to do. I just want this report just to be for the profile of respondent who answered that they're female. If I go to the filter tab, then we have different options here, of course, more advanced, but at a basic level, I want to filter off the question answer, how a respondent answered something in the survey. So what is the condition? It's gender. And I want it to be, when I select this is what is going to be shown. So I just want females here. So I'll save this filter. Then what's happened in the report is showing that I had 42 respondents out of 100 who answered that they're females. This is 100%. All this data that follows is just females, how they answered the survey, what they buy at Costco, how was their experience. Very, kind of a cutoff just for that data point as far as gender. Then this is the flow for building these customized reports. I'm going to go back to all my reports, which is the dashboard. And now I have this, I'm going to get rid of this one. I have a custom report built and I labeled it so it's easy for me to remember. Then I click on it to go back and that filter is still applied. It doesn't go away. And as new responses come in, I've got 120, 300. It will go through this filter effect automatically. And when I share this out, it will be that filtered report. So this is kind of this workflow to create a custom report with the label, apply a setting, it's saved, and it's automatic, right? So now let's create another one, another example. So I'm going to go to create a report and standards. So this is kind of the clean slate. So I'm starting fresh. And then let's do another example. So maybe I would like to compare, gender preference for purchase. I have a quick title. So now the other option is segments. And when I see that word segment in the system, in my head, it's comparison. So I want to compare something. So I want to compare the gender. Is there a difference between the gender, male, female, as far as what they're purchasing at the store? Let's see what we can do to show that in the report. So I'm going to segment by question answers. And then the condition again is gender. And I'll keep male, female, because that's my comparison that I want to see if there's a difference. So I'll save that. And then I'll go through, and this is what I usually buy at Costco. And here is the difference. So here's the one category is toilet paper, and it looks like males are buying more. Females are buying more paper towels. So it breaks it apart, and you can really see if there's a trend, if there's a difference in comparison based on that one condition of gender. And you can kind of see it broken out here. Same thing with experience. Is there a gender-based difference? And it's like, wait a second, wow, females are very satisfied. That's interesting, kind of an insight, like what's happening, why are they satisfied? Maybe the males aren't so satisfied. Like what's happening there? So that's the power of this segment. Okay. So now I've got that custom report. And I go back and I'm off to the races. And I can have a lot of custom reports. Right. So I'm going to create another one. And some of the options I kind of skipped up at the top, I'm going to go back to. So this is a fresh standard report. And right at the top, this one's a little bit hidden, but I can do a bulk edit. And I think the use case for this is maybe it's a bigger survey with lots of questions, but the report I'm generating, I don't need to show all of the answer options. Or like for this particular report, I just want to show what do they usually buy at Costco. So I'm just deleting, oops, I went too far. But you get the idea that this report is just kind of really focused on this, one thing, and that cleans out all the other ones. So that's another one. And this one is, gender only. Example. Save. Great. Now I go back in and do another one. And then report options. So just staying at the top here before I start working my way down. Actually, let me go here. This is a little bit hidden too. So one of the filtering conditions you can apply is date. So clicking in that date field opens up all this ability to create a custom report based off a date condition. So previous month, relative date range, almost like you're booking a reservation at a hotel or flight, like when you starting, when you ending. So all this capability is there to create a custom filtered report off of a date. And then report options. So these report options are the same thing that are available inside of each element, but this makes it global across the whole report. And I'll go into each one and show you kind of the options available. But if I go report options, then I can adjust this across the whole report. So maybe, and I'll show this, maybe wherever there's open text, I would like a word cloud put in. Great, we could do that for the whole survey. Question numbers, no numbers. Open text, let's collapse them. I don't want to show them because it could be 1,000. Let's just make it collapse. They have to click to open. Answer options. I customize the reporting value to be 1 to 5. Maybe I'd like to show that 1 to 5 instead of very dissatisfied. Right? Number of responses high to low. Maybe in that bar graph, which I'll show, I want it to go low to high. So all these things are available here as far as options to make it global. Okay. And that's from up above in this top right. Okay. So now just some basic options. So this is the pie chart for that radio button, single select. It's either male or female. Then if I go into the chart type, I could change that. And maybe I would like it to be an arc or a donut. It's just a style preference. We make a decision saying the pie chart is our default, but you can adjust that based on your preference, how you would like it to look. I'm going to show these longitudinal in the other question type. This is a really nice one if you have an ongoing survey to kind of get a status over time, how people feel or based on the question that you have. So that's the chart type. Then there's filtering options. You can filter off a certain condition if you would like. Then the other one is the layout and options. I think this is a little more useful right off the bat. So if I click layout options, this is where I'm going to show the averages in the other question, show the reporting value, group answer options. It's a little bit more advanced. If you have a lot of answer options, you can group them into categories. Number of responses high to low, chart size. So lots of options there. That kind of changes based on the question type, what options you have available. So all these things you can customize for each element, how you want it to be displayed. Okay. I'll pause. I know I've given a lot of information. I didn't know if there's any questions at this point as far as what I've shown.
We have not had any come in. No, looks good.
Okay, awesome. So now I'm going to go through and just show some of the other options based on this question type. And this is a checkbox. So one person could have selected all 5. That's why we display it in this kind of bar graph format. And I mentioned this earlier. I don't like how it's kind of random based on the presentation. I would like to have this low to high effect and see it visually that way. So let's do one basic customization to this display. So now I'm going to go down and say number of responses high to low, save. And now I have left to right, high to low. It's a nicer visual display. I like that. Okay. The other one is, so this one, I think I did customize the reporting value, but let me see if that comes through. So I want to see the reporting value that I assigned. Let me see if that changes. Nope, I didn't customize that. I'll have to do it in the next one. So here is the experience at Costco. So going back to the very beginning, the build of this question, I customized the reporting values. And I think that's the real benefit on these type of scaled questions, low to high. So this really behind the scenes is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now let's show the average, which is really useful, right? So now I'll go to stats. I could pick all of these to put them all in, but in this example, I just want the average. So now if I click save, then I have this average that I can look at over time and see if there's some changes. So today it's 3.1. Is it going up? Is it trending down, etc.? The other one is, we know what's going on in this question. So let's just change it to the reporting value for us, for consumption. So now I'll change this to be display the reporting value, save, and now I've got that value, and I know the 1 is low, 5 is high, right? So all this capability is there with custom reporting values as far as how you want to show them. Going down to the open text. So one of the options that you can have is, and I think, let me see if that is in the layout. So you can basically say, I don't want it to be shown open. I can collapse it and save. And someone would have to go in and actually click to show it. So that's just a customization that you can apply. The other one is a word cloud. And we used to show this by default. Now it's a selection you add in. So essentially it's, just to show, sorry, this is, this text is generated from the test tab. So we pull text from Alice in Wonderland to fill in fake open text responses. That's why it looks kind of funny there. But which word is showing up the most? And a word cloud is good at doing that. So I'll go to layout options and I'll say, hey, let's see the word cloud. And we look through the text and analyze it. And this is what I expected because it's from Alice in Wonderland. So this is something that could be useful and say, hey, look, in this open text, this word keeps coming up. That's kind of important. I don't want to show that in my report. The other one, and actually let me go back here to display it. Oops, let's see. Sometimes if I start going too far, I get lost in my demo. Let me go back. I'll start a fresh one.
While you're doing that, Rebecca Horn is asking, is there a way to make a summary report or a report not on several pages? I tried to insert a report into another document, but it was 77 questions and that many pages.
Is it when you say a summary report, like an overall, like I'm trying to get a sense of what the goal is for the summary idea.
I was trying to, maybe insert like an appendix at the end of a document of my findings, like and I would like the questions represented, but when I took out the chart or if I took out the graph, it didn't really make a whole lot of sense. But when I printed the report or saved it, it was almost one question per page, and that was a lot of pages for an appendix.
And in this standard report is the goal?
Yes, yeah, just my findings, or in, it doesn't have to be the standard, it's just, in past times, I had printed it all, in more of a condensed scale, maybe took up 2 or 3 pages. Even the Likert scales were smaller, they kind of condensed.
I mean, I'm not sure if I have a good answer for you, but I'm not I wanted to show you some things that potentially could be helpful, which I haven't covered. Is so maybe there is something you want to show that you can't really generate in our system as far as an output or display. So we have this option. So this is the kind of Likert question. So we have this option to insert. And one of the options here is text or image. So if it's generated in a different format, maybe in Excel, and you crunch the numbers to get this display, the output of the data, you can insert it in as an image. And that would be something that first you'd have to upload into the design library files. So we have it. Then you can click here, and that's going to pull from the images. Then you can insert it into it just gets wedged in down below, and it looks like it's part of the report. But that's kind of a workaround. And I didn't know, Rebecca, if that would be helpful or not, or if there's something else you'd like me to show.
I might just have to live with it being 77 pages.
Yeah, and that's the thing with really big surveys. It's going to generate a really big report, and if all that data is going to be there, and if you're not doing kind of a bulk edit to get rid of things, it's pretty lengthy. Yeah, it is going to be long without doing some editing, unfortunately. So, okay.
Another question that we have from Ross is there any way that people taking the survey can see the results before they submit their response? The example he gives is, let's say, a polling question to nominate an employee for their excellent work, but the survey taker can see who has already been nominated, so they can second that nomination if they'd like to.
And would that be like, you want to see everyone's response, like other people, how they responded?
Ross?
Yes, that was, so as they're taking the survey, they can see the responses that were already given. So more like the polling question that I was saying there, but I used a generalized thing where I was talking about, let's say, nominating an employee for their excellent work, and they can see, hey, Bob and Susie already got nominated. I agree. I'd like to second the nomination for Susie instead of, just having a whole bunch of information on there.
Yeah. Let me see.
I already learned this one, by the way. You can
So
create a public report, right, Mike? And then add that public report into the survey. So they can say
yes,
who's already nominated. I actually saw this in, I don't remember what state group did it. It was pretty cool.
yeah. So let's say, and I'll just let me sorry, let me get back to where I was. This is demo. So let's say this is the data that you're collecting that has it. So what you could do is create a really filtered down report that's shareable. And I'm just going off, Jake, what you were saying. So I'm going to create a standard report and just pretend this is the data, what they selected. So I'll just go into the bulk edit and I'll delete out everything else. And this is what the answer summary. So I'll save that. Then I'm going to make this report shareable, which is a link that lives on the web. And I could set the permission, right? Anyone's a link, save it. And then I've got the link and I can put that into the survey itself.
Right.
And say, hey, what's your gender? And then I could put in just a text media element and like, see see how others voted. And then I'll put in the link. Oop, and then I'll just have to make sure that that's hyperlinked. So it's an actual link. Save. And I could customize the text, of course. The other thing that's nice, I want to show, if you do put in a hyperlink for something else, URL, it's nice to put the target as outside of the survey. So it opens up in a new window. And then they go through the survey and it's like, hey, this is the voting. And then it's like they go through, I'll just show you in real time how it plays out. So, hey, here's the voting. See how other people voted. They click, it opens up the report and you see the output. They can see it really quickly and it's live. So, but we do have, this one probably isn't as flexible. We have this is more after the fact kind of thing. So it's a result chart option. Let me see if I can just show it to you quickly. And it's more of a poll kind of status. Let's see. So, interesting. Let's see. I thought I had it saved here. Sorry, I'm having trouble pulling up the example, but essentially you go through the survey. Let me see if it came. Oh, here it is. Results. Oh, plural. So they go. This is just a basic. Hey, what's your favorite dessert? And we're going to show the output of all the other respondents in a chart to be displayed on the thank you page. So if I go through the survey and click start testing from the live tab, I really like fruit, submit, then this chart auto generates. You can kind of get a sense of what people are doing, but this is more kind of like a final output just as a display. I think the first option is probably a little more flexible, is to click on the link to see what the report is saying. So, but good question.
That's all.
Okay, great. Let me go back and show some more options here under our reports. So I will generate another report. And this is the thing, I worked in customer support and like hundreds of reports. Each one is so unique, right? And it's no problem for our system. At a certain point, you'll see a pagination, like a page 1, page 2, to get to the exact report that you're looking for. But we do have a search option. So if you know the name that you've saved it under, I'll create a new report. And just to go further with this insert option, to really customize. So some of the things that you can do here, let me get to a question. So I'm going to insert. So text streams I showed, response map. This is a map that shows where people are taking the survey. So that's based off geolocation data. Device chart, you can put in something that shows mobile versus desktop. Response counts, response table, kind of useful. This one is, to me, like these DIY response grid or response cards. It's almost like you're putting in an individual response type of element inside of the aggregate overall standard report. And I'll just show you what it looks like. So element name, I'll just put in test. What do I want to put in? How's your experience at Costco? Say, I could put in multiple, but here's like, okay, that's all I want to go in. And then when it goes in, you'll see, so this is aggregate, but then this is response ID 1 said this, ID 2 said that. So this is a way to kind of blend a little bit of the individual response data with the aggregate data. So that's an option under that insert, the ability to do that. Other ones I think are good. Quotes, this is interesting. I think it's not used enough because I think it's a really good feature. And I'll show you what that means. But you can put in a quote, I'll demo that. This is getting a little bit more advanced. Like if you are capturing URL variable data from the link itself that someone clicks on, you can pull through the URL data. If you're sending it out by an email invite, our email campaign tool and you've associated data with a contact, first name, last name, department, for example, you can pull that into the report to be displayed. So those are all options there. But let me show you the quote option. So if I go into the results, you kind of start from the individual responses. And I go into a response, and I want to see, I'll just start here and see if we have data for it. And I go in, and this is open text. So select the quote. So I'm analyzing this open text. And you know what? This, you pretend it's a little bit longer text, right? But it's like, this is so valuable. This kind of captures that it, like I want to display this in the report. So I'm going to save that, got it out. Okay. And then it's a quote that I've kind of highlighted. Then when I go to the report, I can pull out those examples that I've highlighted through reading through the open text, and I can put them in the actual report. So I'll insert, I think this is the question. No, it's the open text. I apologize. So it's down here. And now I want to customize this and put in a chart that has like this highlight of what I've chosen as a really good quote. And select close to add. Tell us more about your visit. Add the quotes. And then I'm pulling this out as a really like, hey, there's a lot of open text here, but boy, look at these quotes. This is really representative of what a lot of people are saying about this question as far as what they're typing in. So I think that's a nice one to know about. Anyway. And then the other one I wanted to show is, let me delete this. I'm going to talk about open text a little bit so you get a sense of it. But one of the nice features that we have is longitudinal reporting. And this is good for this type of question where it's ongoing and it's a satisfaction score, and the reporting value has been customized to 1 to 5. So we can get this kind of average number. So what I want to do here is create a longitudinal chart for this question. So I'm going to go to chart type, and then I'm using overtime. So I click here, and then it's what is the metric? And since I customize the reporting value to be 1 through 5, I can pick average. And then what's my interval? Monthly, daily, weekly seems good. So I'll save that. And then you'll see a kind of a trend line. This is pretty jagged because I put in test data, so it's going 0 to 5 randomly. But you kind of get the sense for these ongoing surveys, what's happening. And hey, at this moment in time, we did something. We implemented a new program, and we are seeing an effect. It has changed our satisfaction level with our constituents. So I think that's a nice kind of report to look at. And in that lens of kind of this experience scale, I want to show another more custom report. And just so you know, I am going to come back to report style and show options to really make your report style the way you like as far as colors and putting in a logo even. But I'll come back to that because it keeps catching my eye. I don't want to forget. But one example is I think I have a demo here. Hope I can search for it. So it's a crosstab report. So I'll show you the build of the survey. And so essentially you're getting this kind of demographic data. And then there's this satisfaction score, 1 to 5. And I've customized the reporting value. And the way I like to think of crosstab is like the segment example that I showed. I want to compare two things, but this is a more powerful way to do it. So in the results, so this is a saved report, and our documentation covers kind of how to set this up. It's a little obviously more advanced, more complex, but what happens is when you generate this crosstab report, you'll see this comparison. Now, instead of just male, female, I put in all the categories for gender, and I really want to drill down into each specific one. So here's female satisfaction level, and based on the number of responses in each category, you'll see the color shaded slightly differently. So this is a really more powerful way to kind of compare two things. And I think it's really beneficial when you have that kind of scaled effect, but you can use it for any type of question that you would like with some limits, right? And then so I could set this up inside of a standard report, or you can go directly to a specific crosstab report. I apologize for navigating so quickly here. But if I go to reports, and this depends on your license level, if you have that ability, that you'll see crosstab. So this is what I just showed you. And this is kind of this starting point. And we have this kind of the columns and the rows, lots of flexibility here. I see this more of the our customers who are involved with marketing or satisfaction levels of something or product. But again, it's available as an advanced option. Okay. Let me go to the style section and just show you what you can do on the left side. Okay, so we generate, and we updated this fairly recently, the color scheme. So we try to be modern and look the way, kind of a nice color scale, but I don't like it. I want to brand it. I want it to look different. So if you go to report style, then you can pick these chart colors. And we have pre-built scales that you can choose. You can really customize each one to be unique. We have the hex code option. So lots of flexibility as far as the chart colors that you would like. Other options I think are great. You can change the background color, the page color, all these things are available. Customize the text. I think logo is a nice one. So you can put a logo inside of the header up above, and that's sourced from, again, the design library files. You upload it, add an image. Let's see if this works quickly. I was testing different things. And then it appears up above, and you can kind of customize how it's going to look. But you kind of get the sense of like, hey, I want this to look really good for my stakeholder. I want a logo. I want to adjust the colors. So all these things are available under that report style to do that work. Okay. And then if you have it, so this is kind of a nice option, just like under our style tab, you can save the style build with the theme. So same thing in the report. So I want to save this as a theme. So if I click this, it would be, hey, I've done all this work. I really like all the styling. I don't want to recreate the wheel for every report that I generate. Let's keep it as a theme that I can click on. Boop, it'll pop in. So that saves a lot of time in that kind of repetition once you are happy with what you've done with your style as far as the reports. Okay. I'll just pause there if there's any questions. I want to spend the last few minutes on open text analysis, which I think is a nice tool. But I want to make sure I give time for questions if there are any.
None so far.
Okay, great. Okay, so the story behind this is, let me open this up. So I have this ability, this is my, I don't want that. Getting lost in my reports, too many. Always start fresh, clean slate. So here's the story. So you have stakeholders, and so this is very subjective. This is my opinion. I think open text questions are great to include in your surveys. So, a classic build is like, hey, what do you think? Click, click. We're basically saying you got to answer the way we think you're going to answer, right? Include open text, because that tells the story. Because people, and I know this from personal experience, I go through a survey and it's like click, click, click. None of this matters to me. I really want to tell you something. That are you giving me the opportunity? Give them the opportunity to type in something. Then it's, oh gosh, I got this report that, like, what does this all mean? It's just open text, right? And one of the things I showed you was putting in that quote option. So highlight, go to results, individual responses, and pull out quotes. That's one way, right? So, but what does this mean in aggregate? Like, I don't know. And I don't know how I can share this out in a way that's consumable to my stakeholder when I share this custom report. So we have this ability under results, open text, analyze open text answers. So then you're essentially creating a question that only you are going to answer that creates categories or buckets that can be displayed after you read through the open text. So I'm just going to go through the process here. And we kind of filter out, excuse me, wherever there's open text. So great, let's start it. So now it's save and analyze. And this UX is, oh, I already have it. Shoot, but I'll start over. So filter responses. So manage text buckets. So when you come here the first time, we call them buckets. So in this example, I have positive, negative, something else. Maybe it's, culture, climate, something in the organization type of question. So I add this in. So I've created these answer options that I think will be represented in this open text based on the question. So then, and this is the manual piece of it, we do have our product roadmap is going to eventually get to the place that we'll do this a little bit more automatic, a sentiment. We'll look through the open text and automatically kind of bucket these. But for right now, this is what we offer. So you can read it and say, oh, this person's very positive about this. This one's kind of negative. This one's kind of both. Maybe it's negative and it's a culture thing, etc. So you go through all this and you're clicking as you go for each of these open text responses. You're analyzing them. I haven't done all of them. So now I'm going to save and see if I can kind of generate this in the standard report. So I've saved, I've analyzed it. The only thing you have to kind of remember, and this is tricky when I first started, it doesn't retroactively come into an existing report. When you do this open text analysis, you have to generate a new report. So now I'm going to start with a fresh report, and that open text analysis should be appearing below that question where the open text was. So this is open text, and then we analyzed it, and we have a lot of people in this bucket. And this is more consumable when you share it to someone. You're like, hey, we're getting a lot of feedback on this. We should address this. Out of all the text we analyze, this is really key. This is important to know about, right? So that's the power of the open text analysis. I know we're getting close to the end. I'm trying to think of something else that could be good for you to know about in reports. Let me see if there's some filtering options. So quite a bit here. If you're aware of the share option where you're sharing some tracking links, this you can filter by the specific link. So maybe there's a unique custom tracking link generated for a particular audience. You would see it here. Also, if you shared it by an email campaign, that would show up here. So you could filter off the links, how they're shared. So that's another option that's nice. By response IDs is a little more advanced. You look through the response IDs, and I just want to get the 20 through 30, the number that we generate. By response status is nice. So you could do some analysis and say, look, we had some people who were partial. They never made it to the end of the survey. Let's do a report on that and look at that data. And speaking of that, and this depends on your license level, we do have an advanced report where if it's a longer survey and you're having issues with people dropping off, like you're getting a lot of partials, fall off statistics will generate a report where you can get insight into people are dropping off at page X, Y. That's where they're reaching their fatigue point and they don't want to continue on. So that can give you an insight into maybe the next time you launch your survey, maybe we can shorten it or do some tweaks to it to hopefully increase our completion rate. So that's another kind of more advanced report in that lens of why are people not finishing type of question. So I'll pause there. I don't know if there's any final questions. I know we're getting close to our time limit here. Yeah. Okay. Wow, great. I didn't get to
Sorry about
advance.
that. I was muted. There was a question about open
Oh.
analyze answers is locked, and that's a permission system.
Yeah.
By default, we're in the professional grade of Alchemer for AOS membership. If you want a full grade license, it's we have to pay for that add-on. It's $300, and any AOS member could do it. I would say we have we have 7 AOS members that have purchased that upgraded feature. And I've heard very positive things, but of the 450, not very many have used it yet. But I've heard positive things for those that want that. Any other questions? All right, Mike, we're about a minute in. Did you have anything else you needed to cover? We done?
We're done. I was going to cover advanced logic, but I can't do that in 30 seconds. I'll
Yeah.
save that for another time. I apologize. I didn't get to it.
We can move that agenda to training number 4. If there's no other further questions, I'll end the training, and thanks guys for coming in today.
Right. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay.
See
Take
ya.
care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.